Hey guys, Dalton here with Nerdy Raptor. Today I'm sitting down with Chris Pramas, president of Green Ronin Publishing. We're just here to talk about the AEG system and just whatever other great new things you guys have coming out right now. So for this GenCon 2014, what's the big hotness for you guys? What's the bestseller?
Our bestseller was the Icons role-playing game.
Okay.
Icons is a kind of a light superhero game designed by Steve Kenson. Steve's been on staff at the company for a lot of years. He designed our Mutants and Masterminds game, which is a different superhero game. Mutants and Masterminds is kind of a crunchier RPG that's more for people who are really into customizing their characters and building out powers and things. Icons is a little more narrative. You need to do random character creation and get you going very quickly.
Okay.
It's sort of more, I don't know, breezy, I guess you would say.
Right.
We had that here, and we had Gadget Guides for Mutants and Masterminds.
Okay.
Gadget Guides is we did a series of PDFs, and each was sort of themed.
Okay.
And it presented a whole bunch of pre-built equipment, essentially. And then we released those over the course of 6 months or so.
Okay.
And then we've compiled them up and added some new material and released it as a book. So it's essentially like the equipment book for Mutants and Masterminds.
Right. Very cool. Very cool. So I know that you guys have the Dragon Age dice set here.
Yes.
The third box set is coming out soon, or within?
Yes, we had hoped to have that here, but the printer couldn't get it done in time. So set 3 is still at the printer, should be out in about a month. We will hopefully have copies at the Penny Arcade Expo in Seattle, which is in just a couple of weeks.
Which is where you guys are located out in Seattle, right?
Yes. We have employees who are actually spread out all over. Steve Kenson lives in New Hampshire, Hal Mangold is in Northern Virginia, and so on. But there's a core cluster of us in Seattle.
Right. Okay, so with set 3, set 2 added the advanced classes, and it finally added the Grey Warden thing.
Yep.
What is the big thing with set 3? What's the...
There's a couple of really cool things. There is a system for organizations.
Okay.
So it lets you found or join organizations, and there's a system for sort of running them. And then the thing that I was particularly excited about is I designed a mass combat system for the game. And it's a narrative mass combat system, so it's not like a tactical simulation where you're gonna, have hexes and chits or miniatures or something like that. It is designed around sort of creating these crisis points that you can resolve as a combat encounter as part of a larger battle. But you do get to take into account during the stages of the battle, the generalship and the troops and other things like that. So it gives you a way to make like a big battle into the focus of a whole evening of adventure.
Right, which is very cool that you do the crisis point thing, because I know a lot of things like, we'll keep rolling, this random table tells you what happens, and it's just random, like, your general's dead, so suddenly you suffer all these penalties, and you're just like, well, that sucks, that kind of thing.
Yeah, or you're in a battle with thousands and thousands of soldiers and stuff, and you're 5-player characters, and you're like, what do we do?
Yeah, we're back at the camp keeping the beds warm, whatever.
Yeah.
So you guys also, I saw recently, the Song of Ice and Fire license for the RPG was renewed?
That's right.
Okay.
Yes.
That's very exciting. Do you guys have any more things coming from that line right now?
We do. The next book in that line is called Dragon's Horde.
Okay.
It's basically a super adventure. It's going to be a 160-page adventure.
Okay.
Basically, because of the nature of the license and the fact that George R. Martin approves all the text and art himself.
Okay.
And he's like a really busy guy.
Right. There's a show based on the books. I don't know if you've heard of it yet.
Yeah. I think I heard something about that.
Yeah.
So we really only get to release maybe a book a year from that line because of the approvals process. So we want to give people an adventure that would keep them busy for a while.
Yeah.
So that's the idea of doing something that was really meaty like that.
Right. I know a lot of the world creators we've talked to here, just at different booths, like they're all kind of tight on it, so I can totally see him wanting to be like, this is my world, I want to say yay or nay to everything.
Yeah.
Probably also to avoid you guys possibly stepping on toes for the show or the books.
A lot of times we try to present things sort of as like, this is a worked example. Like we did a book called The Chronicles Starter, and the game has a system for the creation of noble houses.
Oh, wow.
And, when you play, you as a group create your own noble house, and then each character has a role within the house. And your individual character has goals, but the house also has goals as it engages in the Game of Thrones.
Right.
So that idea is new to some people. So what the Chronicle Starter did was build out 6 example houses and detail them out and show you who the characters were, what the conflicts were, and all that. And so a game master could use one of those houses as the player character's house, or use them as allies and enemies.
Yeah.
So, all those houses we detailed out, they're not in George's books. It's just like, this is an example of what you can do with them.
Yeah. That's very cool. I'm sure he likes seeing that, just like the kind of tinkering with it without necessarily saying...
Yeah.
I know he never knows. He might throw in a few characters from those houses who get killed in a battle or something like that, knowing the...
Well, it was one of the things when we were designing the game. We wanted to make sure that this whole idea of the houses, vying against each other, was kind of central to what was happening in the game, and it wasn't just like D&D in Westeros.
Yeah, which is a very cool idea, because I know people before had asked about it at our local game shop, things like that, saying, well, what would you do in that? And I was like, well, because I'm not overly familiar with it, obviously, but just the idea that you can still make it so that's a big part of it and not just be what everyone thought it might be.
Yeah,
So.
and if you have trouble with the idea of, if you don't really know how to do warring noble houses and politics and social conflict, and you want to do something a little more traditional, we have a book about the Night's Watch, and that presents a whole different way to play the game, where if you, instead of making a noble house, you make a Night's Watch castle that's on the wall.
Oh, wow.
And you are all, take the black and you're all on the wall.
Right.
Or you create a wildling village beyond the wall and you're all wildlings. And so those are different ways you can play the game.
That's very cool. There are several different options for players, so they're not just... So if somebody's like, oh, I'd like to play the Night's Watch or something like that, the party can find something to agree on. And if nobody wants to play either of those, you have the wildling option, which actually sounds very, very cool as well, because you'd be directly conflicting, I imagine. So, all right, well, very cool. Was there anything else you wanted to touch on?
I just want to mention that in November we're releasing the Dragon Age Ultimate Edition, and that is going to be a single hardback book that's going to collect up the core rules of the game from the 3 box sets.
Oh, wow.
And we're going to try to release that concurrently with Dragon Age Inquisition, which is the new video game from BioWare.
It's very, very cool. Is there anything from Inquisition in that? I imagine not, since set 3's on the way to public printing.
A little bit. It's going to have some new material, but we're after that going to do a book specifically about Inquisition.
Yeah, because I know with the second set, you guys really explored beyond Ferelden, which I really appreciated, because it's this beautiful, rich world setting that the first game touches on, and the second game touches on the free cities, but there's so much more that they've been mentioning. So I fell in love with the Navaran country, because they're all basically heroic badasses and dragon slayers. Yeah. So it's all about like, okay, well, I'm going to do this and have a statue built to me and how cool me and my family are.
So we're at greenronin.com. We also have mutantsandmasterminds.com, which is a dedicated website for M&M. We are on Facebook, both as a company and for our individual game lines. We are Green Ronin Pub on Twitter.
Once again, I'm Dalton with Nerdy Raptor here with Chris Pramas of Green Ronin. Just stay tuned for more coverage from the con.